Good morning everyone. Today I am doing just a quick fun tutorial because I've just spent hours and hours rearranging my sewing room. So today I have done the cell phone Caddy by KM Designs. So I've made mine out of leather. It's like a really fun quick sew, so you can just pop some cards in, pop your phone in, and off you go out the door. It was fun to sew. It was also really quick, and I was doing very slow stitches. So if you need like a quick gift, this is definitely the thing for you. So if you'd like to see how it's done, please stay tuned. Alrighty, so let's get started. I have pre-cut this. Now this is leather. This is like the last of my lime green leather. So on the pattern, it says to cut one curvy edge and one straight edge. So that's what I've done. And then I've got 3 card slots and 1 top card slot. Now I think the easiest way for me to do this is I've cut out in the pattern at the markings where the pockets need to start. I've just cut like little triangles, so when I lay it on top of my pattern like this, I can just mark with an erasable. So this is a friction texter, so it will be erasable, and I can just mark the top section where it needs to line up. So now they will go away. I'm also going to cover them anyway. But that's erasable, so you won't see it. Don't use a real pen. That would be a terrible idea. So now I can just line this up here, like so, because that's where it wants to sit. And I just need to tack the bottom of this pocket. So I'm going to put my stitch length up to 4. Because I'm using leather, I want it to be a bigger stitch length. So that's going to sit there, and I'm just going to come and I'm going to stitch just the bottom. So I'm going to stitch, back stitch, and then when I get to the end, I'm going to back stitch again. So I've just got a few little stitches. You're not going to see these because these are inside it all, which is why I did a back stitch. But when we do our top one, I will be pulling the thread through to make it neater. So then we're going to grab our second one and line it up. Oh, there's someone at my door. About that. I didn't think I was going to have any visitors today. Anyway, so back to where I was. So the first one's tucked down, but only at the bottom. So don't worry about the sides yet. We're going to get to that. So I'm going to line this one up on top of there. And so that's all going to line up in the center. And then I'm just going to stitch exactly how I did with the first one. I'm going to start in the corner and the down position. So I'm going to go forward, back, across, back, like that. And then trim off all your tails. If I get a chance today, I'm going to bring back all my stickers on my machine, I think. Alright, and then we're going to do the same again. So we're going to line this up so that they're all square and even, like that, and then we're going to stitch the bottom section again. And then we're going to back stitch it. So this little tack that we're doing both holds the card slot on and will be what stops your card from going further down. So now we've got 3. So now we're going to take our top pocket and line that up like this. Now I want to start from up here. I'm going to go down across the bottom and up. So I'm actually just going to not worry too much about that right now. I'm going to line up all of these pockets. Now I'm going to leave a nice long tail, and I'm not going to back stitch because I'm going to pull the tail through. So I'm going to line up all these edges. I'm going to bring the needle down and start right in that top corner where I want to. And I'm going to stitch 1/8 of an inch. Now I'm going to go very, very slowly because I also need to take this and add it in like that. I'm going to come down And I can get one more stitch, but I'm going to manually crank it. And then while the needle's down, we're going to pivot and go along the bottom. And I'm going to manually crank that stitch so it's not out too far. Needle down and pivot again. And then up this side. So you don't, when top stitching, you do want to slow down a little bit so that you don't mess up your beautiful stitches. And these also need to be lined up because they're all loose. And so that's my last stitch I'm going to do. So now I'm going to pull this out with a really long tail and trim it off. So I've got two nice long tails. Now if you grab the back stitch and you just kind of circle it around, you'll see that it pulls the loop through. So I'm going to take my snips and pull that thread to the back and then tie it off. And because this is nylon thread, I'm also going to singe it with a lighter. So I'm going to do 1 knot, 2 knot, maybe even 3. And then trim off the excess close to but not all the way down. And then grab a lighter and just singe that last little bit. Now, you want to singe with the blue part of your flame. So I'm going to do these ones down here where I back stitched. So when singeing, don't use the orange or yellow part of your flame because it will discolor your thread, which is obviously not what we want. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to do one big circle and it pulls it out. And then take my snips and pull it to the back. You can also use your fingernail if you've got a big enough loop. Or a stiletto or a needle or whatever. And then I'm going to knot it. And then I'm going to knot it again. And then I'm going to knot it again. And then trim it close to but not all the way down. And then singe the last little bit like that. You don't have to touch it. I like to try and push it flat, but I also don't want to burn myself. It's a bit of a tricky game. So there's our front done. So now we're going to take our front and our back. And to hold this in place while we're stitching, I am going to use my Wonder Clips. And I'm going to stitch it with the pocket side up so that it doesn't distort my stitches going over any part of my machine. So I'm just going to add a couple of clips just so I feel confident that it won't move while I'm stitching. Because I really want everything lined up well. I cut this out for the most part, obviously not the curves, but for the most part, I cut this out with a rotary cutter so I could get nice straight edges. The curves I did with scissors, and I did with my Class A knife edge ones because they cut thicker fabrics very nicely. Okay, so that may seem like a lot of clips, but I really don't want this to shift. So I'm going to do the same thing again, where I grab my tails and pull them out so that I can tie them off at the back. And then I'm going to start in this top corner. So I'm going to start here, and I'm not going to backstitch. You can backstitch if you wish. I'm just not going to. So then we're going to stitch it down. And I'm just doing 1/8 of an inch from the edge. And then when I get closer to this corner, I'm going to slow right down. I'm going to even manually crank that corner one so that I don't go too far in the wrong direction. And then we're going to continue on. I have shoes on at the moment, which was silly of me. I have less control over my sewing machine when I wear shoes. So slow, tricky things like this is better for me barefoot. Then I'm going to get to the corner and I'm going to pull the tail again. So then we're going to do that thing where we're going to circle and it pulls the loop so we can pull it out the back like that. No, not like that. I missed. There we go. And then we just need to tie some knots off. Now you can also edge coat this which would be really, really nice. I'm just trying to think if I've got any green. I'm thinking some edge coat might be lovely, actually. Although, I probably should have edge coated all the other pieces on the front first. Now that I think about it. Alright, so I've just left a little bit again. So I'm going to use the lighter and just use the blue part of the flame to singe it down. And so technically, that is now done. I can't show you putting my phone in because we're using it to record, but that is super cute. So you've got your card slots on the front, and it's just something quick to like chuck in your pocket and off you go. So yeah, that was really fun. I hope that was somewhat educational. If I do another one, I will edge coat everything first so that we can play that game. Alright guys, bye bye.